How you doing out there? How you doing? This is Frankie Russo, pre-show number 85, over here at 77 WABC. Okay, it's about 11:50. You got to join America's Team and get a T-shirt. America's Team today website. Go there, click on the buttons, join America's Team, and you'll get a T-shirt. RussoNation.tv. That's the other address. Okay, and I'm almost able to talk about what we're going to do with America's Team. It's going to be good though. It's going to be for the men and women of the United States Armed Forces. So you got to get with this. Join America's Team and get a T-shirt, okay? Frankie Russo, you got to do this. 77 WABC. So to move things forward, I've been going through this thing, as you know. I got this model I've been working on. I work on it every week because I believe besides the imploding of the United States economy, besides the collapse of the United States dollar, which poses the biggest threat to our way of life, we have to watch out for, based on this Iranian nuke deal, now we have the threat. The Islamo-Nazis are coming. Wealthy nation Iran with nuclear capability. Scary stuff. So that's where we're going. Okay? I just want to give you a quick rundown on the whiteboard. Frauds like the service card, Obama, illegal president, Sheriff Joe Nicole Posse, statistically significant. Memorandum on this agreement with the Clinton Foundation, Hillary Clinton, Secretary of State, Bill Clinton, chairman of the Clinton Foundation. They're in cahoots, not only with Russia, which is obviously part of the global terror network Iran. The Alevi Foundation, as we talk about every week, took $105,000, gave $105,000 to the Clinton Foundation. And then the Clinton Foundation gave $1.4 million, over $1.4 million to the Blind Sheets Mosque. And we all know what happened over there, from 9/11 to the 1993 World Trade Center bombing, the Holy Land Foundation trial, 650 Fifth Avenue case, money laundering, illegal money transfers, crazy stuff, terror financing, millions of dollars to Al Qaeda, millions of dollars to Hamas. That's one. And Obama turned a blind eye. Then we went from there, from the global terror network, we got this other transaction, the 5 Iranian Quds Force released in 2009 in the Obama administration. They were detained in 2007 because, according to the State Department, they posed a major threat to the men and women of the United States Armed Forces fighting a fight in Iraq. So Obama took over in 2008, 2009. He released them mysteriously. And now we're at this other transaction is what we're gonna talk about now, is the Bergdahl transaction. All right, I'm cutting to the chase now. I want to try to get as much information as possible. So the Bergdahl trade was for 5 Afghan Taliban for Bergdahl. $5 billion, according to Lieutenant Colonel Tony Schaefer on the Bill O'Reilly show, Fox News Channel. Obama gave $5 billion and 5 Afghan Taliban in exchange for Bergdahl, and they were released to Qatar, and that's where we're going to start. Okay. Now, before we get into Qatar, which I think is statistically significant, and what do I mean by that? We'll talk about that in a minute. Now, okay, we got Bergdahl, deserter, traitor, whatever you want to call him, traded for, in exchange for, 5 Afghan Taliban operatives, right? Okay, so why was this done? Why would, there were 5 Afghan Taliban Gitmo detainees, and Obama released them to Qatar. Qatar, Qatar. Qatar. Why do you think Obama did that? Well, let's think about it. Bergdahl, right? Bergdahl. They even had his platoon on the air. They even talked about the unfortunate what he put his platoon through when he deserted. People went looking for him, and unfortunately, some people even lost their lives looking for him. But what I'm trying to say is the entire conversation was dominated by this deserter, by this traitor, I believe, Bergdahl. Dominated the entire conversation. It's my understanding recently the trial is up now. Bergdahl trial. Bergdahl. Everybody wants to talk about Bergdahl, but nobody wants to talk about the 5 Afghan Taliban, or Qatar, no less. I checked into it. Now, before I go there, I found this letter. Letter written by Congressman Doug Lamborn from Colorado. He's Republican, and he's a member of the House Armed Services Committee. And he wrote this letter to Defense Secretary of Defense, Secretary Carter. I'm going to read a few paragraphs or whatever from, just to give you an idea of what this congressman is expressing to the Secretary of Defense, Ashton Carter. We want to express deep concerns that America's military footprint in Qatar, whatever, may be enabling the Al Thani regime to offer up its territory as fundraising center for terrorists around the region. The past few years have seen Qatar grow into a major hub for terrorist operatives and terrorism finance. The Al Thani regime is this young guy took over Al Thani. I think he's in his 30s. The Qatari government turns a blind eye. He's the Al Thani is the Emir, whatever it is, EMIR. The Qatari government turns a blind eye to terrorist fundraising for Al Qaeda and the Islamic State by United States designated persons within its borders. The Qatari government has also actively financed, advocated for, and at least until recently hosted the Palestinian terrorist group Hamas, a relationship that Doha is only being compelled to reconsider after increased pressure from other Gulf states, not the United States. Qatar is now known as the world's safe haven for terrorist groups and militia leaders. These activities lead us to believe that it is time to reassess and reevaluate the United States military alliance with Qatar. Qatar professes a commitment and a role in the coalition against ISIS and other Islamic insurgents in the Middle East. However, its direct role in joint air operations against ISIS was minimal in terms of military impact. Further evidence suggests that Qatar has directly armed or financed multiple Islamic groups in the region, undermining United States objectives in pivotal countries such as Libya, Egypt, Syria, by pushing those places toward violent extremism, radical Islamists. At the same time, Qatar's efforts to curb terror finance was woefully inadequate. Money from Qatar has been funneled to a number of terrorist groups, including both ISIS and Al Qaeda's Syria affiliate Al Nusra. For instance, the Treasury Department indicated in September that a Qatar-based donor provided $2 million to ISIS's emir of suicide bombers. There is no indication that this individual has been punished by Qatar. Another individual based in country, Qatari national Al Numani, has been sanctioned for providing millions of dollars to Al Qaeda affiliates in at least 4 different countries, but eventually, evidently, excuse me, he has yet to be prosecuted or arrested by Dua for his actions. Numani once provided the forerunner of ISIS, Al Qaeda in Iraq, with $2 million a month. It's crazy. Doha's refusal to convict and lock up a seed funder of ISIS casts doubt upon the Al Thani region's true beliefs about fighting Islamist terror. Indeed, David Cohen, the U.S. Treasury Department's Undersecretary for Terrorism and Financial Intelligence, recently noted there are U.S. and UN designated terrorist finances in Qatar that have not been acted against under Qatari law. These include others beyond Numani and or financial facilitators for Hamas, leaders of the Muslim Brotherhood, the Egyptian Islamic Group, and the Taliban have also found a safe haven in Qatar, from which they can safely coordinate radical Islamic activities, in some cases even terrorism in the region, without interruption. While some of these activities are done clandestinely, Qatar has not yet even attempted to hide its support of Hamas, an organization blacklisted by the United States. As Cohen noted in March, the Qatari regime has for many years openly financed Hamas. Qatar has opened its doors to Hamas leadership that fled from Jordan and Syria and provides an unfettered media platform for terrorist leaders on Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera is based in Qatar, just so you know. That's the network. Israel's security forces have disrupted several plots by Hamas operatives in the West Bank that were run out of Qatar. Qatar's support for Hamas continued even as Hamas launched a war this summer against Israel, lobbing rockets at Israel and attempted to massacre Israeli civilians by means of underground tunnels while using their own civilians and UN schools as shields. While there are indications that Qatar may be reconfiguring its relationship with Hamas, much needs to be done. U.S. reliance on Qatar's support, such as the Al Diyad case in Qatar, has emboldened the Qataris to believe they can undermine and damage American interests in efforts in the region without consequence. America's strategic interests should not be undercut or held captive. Bahrain, Kuwait, Jordan, and the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, all have advanced bases which can support the same U.S. aircraft and facilities, possibly making the need for such an extensive installation in Qatar redundant. We ask that you develop a strategy to hold Qatar accountable for their support of terrorism, including a serious explanation of positioning some of our military assets with other allies in the region. Signed, Congressman Doug Lamborn from Colorado. Very interesting. So, Obama released the 5 Taliban to Qatar. And then we have United States Treasury press release. This is statistically significant, all right? Well, that's not the one I'm looking for. Here's the one. Okay. The United States Treasury Department imposed sanctions on 2 al-Qaeda supporters based in Qatar and Yemen. I just want to talk about the one, Umani. It is essential for countries. Umani was designated for providing financial support to al-Qaeda, Asbat al-Ansur, al-Qaeda in Iraq, that's ISIS, Sa Baba. It's essential for countries to take provocative steps to disrupt terrorist financing, essentially where Al Qaeda and its affiliates are concerned. We will continue to work with our partners in the Gulf to ensure that charitable donations are not used to support violence in the region or elsewhere, according to David S. Cohen, Undersecretary for Terrorism and Financial Intelligence. Al Numani is a Qatar-based terrorist financier, facilitator, excuse me, who has provided money and material support and conveyed communications to Al Qaeda and its affiliates in Syria, Iraq, and Yemen, Somalia as well, and Somalia as well. He was considered among the most prominent Qatar-based supporters for Iraqi Sunni extremists. Excuse me, it's a it's after 12. My brain's starting to fizz on me a little bit. I had a little brain freeze. As a result of these designations, any assets these individuals may have under United States jurisdiction are frozen, and U.S. persons are generally prohibited from doing business with them. In 2013, Numani ordered the transfer of nearly 600,000 to the Al Qaeda via Al Qaeda representative in Syria, Khalid al Suwari, intended to transfer nearly 50,000 more. Numani facilitated significant financial support to Al Qaeda in Iraq and served as an interlocutor between interlocutor, I guess, yes. It served as a go-between Al Qaeda and Iraq leaders and Qatar-based donors. Numani reportedly oversaw the transfer of over 2 million per month to Al Qaeda in Iraq, that's ISIS, for a period of time. He also served as a go-between these Qatari nationals and the Al Qaeda Iraq leaders. Between 2003 and 2004, Numani provided support to the Iraqi insurgency more broadly and served as a conduit for their broadcast materials to media outlets. Numani, as of mid-2012, provided approximately $250,000 to two U.S. designated al-Shabaab figures. In addition, Numani provided financial support to charities headed by Yemen-based Al-Wahhab Mohammed, who channeled funding to the AQAP, okay, Al Qaeda AP, Arab Peninsula, in Arab Peninsula. So that's that. So we got this. We got a letter from Congressman Doug Lamborn claiming that Qatar is a safe haven for terrorists, and we have an example of a Qatari national that's been designated a terrorist financier by the United States Treasury Department. So this is statistically significant, but it gets deeper. It gets deeper though. Let's look at this one. Right. It gets deeper. So, right, we went over that. Okay, good. So I'm going to get rid of that one. Let's see what this one says. Okay, let's see what this one says. This is done by Iran is working with Al Qaeda. Okay, this is Weekly Standard, Thomas Jocelyn, August 2015, and the Counter Jihad Report. I think this is with the Center for Security Policy, if I'm not mistaken, as well. I'm pretty certain it is. Um, I'm pretty certain that's the case. Okay, so I'm looking for. Okay, here we go. Because I'm going to get to the other part to this. Hmm. Okay. Iran's agreement with Al Qaeda exposed. Okay. Since 2011, Obama's Treasury and State Department have repeatedly said Iran works with Al Qaeda. July 28, 2011, Treasury admits Iran's secret deal with Al Qaeda, saying it allows Al Qaeda to funnel funds, operatives to Iranian territory, and is another aspect of Iran's unmatched support for terrorism. Al Suwari, the head of Iran based network at the time, and several of his Al Qaeda colleagues were designated terrorists. On December 22nd, 2011, the State Department offered a $10 million reward for information leading to Suwari's capture, one of the richest rewards offered by any terrorist. Iranian authorities maintain a relationship with al-Suwari and have permitted him to operate within Iranian borders since 2005. So Iran is in the picture. Okay. This is Treasury and State Department. This is statistically significant weekly standard. Now, February 2012, Trade Department designated Iran's Ministry of Intelligence and Security, MOIS. We said this last week, for its support of Al Qaeda in Iraq. That's ISIS. Okay? According to Treasury, MOIS has facilitated the movement of Al Qaeda operatives in Iran and provided them with documents, identification cards, and passports. In addition, it provided money and weapons to Al Qaeda in Iraq, ISIS, negotiated prisoner releases of Al Qaeda in Iraq operatives. Al Qaeda evolved into ISIS, the Al Qaeda offshoot that controls significant territory in Iraq and Syria. In January 2014, State and Treasury Department officials interviewed by Al Jazeera warned that Suwari was back on the street and more active than ever. In 2014, he was released. Curiously, according to these officials, Iran allowed Suwari to funnel cash. These, according to the State and Treasury Department officials, reported by the Weekly Standard. Iran allowed Suwari to funnel cash and fighters to Nusra Front, an official branch of Al Qaeda that is engaged in a vicious fight against Iran's proxies in Syria. It is not clear why. This is what this whole thing is crazy. On February 6, 2014, Treasury officially confirmed that Suwari has assumed leadership of Al Qaeda's Iran based network after being temporarily detained there in late 2011. The United States Treasury Department also designated one of Suwari's subordinates inside of Iran. So, very interesting. So, that's interesting. So now what we're doing is I'm establishing with y'all, I'm showing you with y'all the connection. Qatar, Qatar. The 5 Afghan Taliban were released in Qatar. And I'm showing you, Obama released, not only did he send $5 billion to Qatar, according to Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer of the Pentagon. In addition, Qatar is a safe haven for terrorists based on a statistically significant letter by United States Congressman Doug Lamborn of the House Armed Services Committee. Excuse me. And counterjihadreport.com, Weekly Standard, and I think also to the Center for Security Policy, further confirms that one of the terrorist financiers in Qatar, the Qatari national, Numani, according to the United States Treasury Department press release, was designated a terrorist financier and froze any of his assets that were within the United States jurisdiction, and no United States people of the United States are not allowed to are prohibited to do business with him. Okay, so he, according to the United States Treasury Department, gave money, hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars. He gave millions of dollars to ISIS, Al Qaeda, Iraq, which is, as we know, is Iran, an Iran surrogate. In addition, that's one, based on United States Treasury Department press release. And in addition, Numani gave money to al-Zawahiri. Al-Zawahiri is, according to the United States Treasury Department, he's known as, I'll say it again, al-Zawahiri, Iran allowed Zawahiri to funnel cash and fighters, and Zawahiri had resumed his relationship with Al Qaeda's Iran-based network after being temporarily detained in late 2011. So Zawahiri is Iran. Okay? Zawahiri is Iran. Zawahiri is Iran. Okay. What else? So before I get to, because I'm going to get to the, so far, you understand what we're doing here. We're showing a pattern, a sequence of events. Obama, through the last 7 years, has been acquiescing, have been capitulating to Iran in order to get this centerpiece of his administration, this Iranian nuke deal. It's crazy stuff. So let me see. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna close this out. I'm gonna go to this other one. Now, okay. Now, so now we've established Qatar based on the statistically significant letter by the United States Congressman Lamborn. Now we have, and we also have the Weekly Standard, Center for Security Policy, the Counter Jihad Report, and they talk about Numani and the United States Treasury designation of Numani and al-Zawahiri, and al-Zawahiri, as we know, is Iran. He's working with Iran, whether he's with Al Qaeda, he's he's Al Qaeda Iran's connection. Zawahiri. Okay, so not only did Numani give $2 million a week for an unlimited period of time to Al Qaeda in Iraq, which is ISIS, which is an Iranian surrogate, but also he gave to an Iranian representative who's from Al Qaeda, Al Zawahiri. Okay, so those are two statistically significant pieces of information about Qatar and an example of a terrorist financing, which was brought out by United States Congressman Lamborn. Now I'm going to cut to the 5 Taliban. Weekly Standard, Thomas Joslin. Okay, this is about 2012. The Wall Street Journal reports that the Iranian government is expanding its ties to the Taliban, even allowing Mullah Omar's organization to set up an office in eastern Iran. The arrangement works as follows. A member of the Taliban's leadership council, Quetta Suwera, set up an office in eastern Iranian city of Zadan in late May, according to a senior Western diplomat in Kabul and a senior Afghan official. Zadan sits near the borders with Pakistan and Afghanistan on an easy transit route from the Pakistani city of Quetta, where the Taliban leadership is based. Okay? Understand, the 5 Taliban the 5 Taliban Mohammed Faisal, Mohammed Nabi, Norullah Nori, Kerullah Kerkawa, I'm trying to pronounce the last name, and Abdul Wasik are Afghan Taliban, all Afghan Taliban, right? You know who their leader is? Mullah Omar. Mullah Omar. Interestingly enough, Zahedan, that's an Iranian city, is especially noteworthy location for this office. Not only does the Taliban now have an office there, but Al Qaeda and affiliated terrorist groups have long operated there as well, according to the Weekly Standard. Thomas Joslin. Al-Zawahiri, an Al Qaeda facilitator based in Iran, is known to operate inside Zahedan. Members of an Al Qaeda cell slated to take part in Mubah-style plot against European cities in 2010 transited through Zahedan. Okay? Earlier this week, the State Department once again accused Iranian's Revolutionary Guard Corps Quds Force General Soleimani of supplying the Taliban with arms and training, in addition to allowing Al Qaeda operatives to transit Iranian soil. The journal adds, in intercepted communications in early July, members of the Quds forces and General Soleimani, a special unit of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, discussed plans to send surface-air missiles to insurgents in Afghanistan, according to the Western official. There is no information that Iran has delivered, but This is interesting stuff. The State Department is accusing Iran's Revolutionary Guard of supplying Taliban with arms and training. This is not the first time the Iranians have discussed supplying air surface missiles. The topic was broached in late 2001. A Gitmo detainee named Karerula Kerkwa was Taliban's governor of the Herat province, which sits on the border with Iran. At the time, Karula attended meetings during which Iran agreed to support the Taliban in its war against American forces. One of the items Iran said it could supply the Taliban with was air surface SAM-7s, shoulder-fired missiles. While the Iranians ended up providing other weapons to the Taliban, to my knowledge, they never did whatever. But the point is, Iran is in the picture. Once again, the Taliban, he's one of the 5 Taliban that was released. Kerula Kwa, the governor of the Herat province, it was one of the 5 Taliban that was released for Bergdahl. Well, and they have an office in Iran. You know what I'm saying? Well, the Iranians ended up providing other weapons to the Taliban. Okay. One official cited by the Journal has concluded the same, saying the Iranians provided low-level lethal support and training, but they're involved. They're in the mix. This is about Iran. It's always about Iran. The Iranians' decision to allow the Taliban to open an office in Zahedan is just the latest example of diplomatic cooperation between the 2 former adversaries. Last year, Washington Post reported that Iran hosted Taliban representatives in Tehran, the capital of Iran, suggesting that Iran has cultivated deeper ties with the insurgent group than was previously known, and stepping up efforts to influence its eastern neighbor as the U.S. role recedes. Right. While its weapons are an office in Zahedan, whether it's weapons or an office in Zahedan, that is ultimately what the relationship between Iran and the Taliban is all about, countering the influence and its allies in Afghanistan. Thomas Jocelyn of the Weekly Standard. So what we're doing here is that's statistically significant. This is like these guys are they may lean to the right or whatever, but there's facts in that article. Statistically significant facts that the 5 Taliban, headed by their supreme leader Mullah Omar, who died recently, has an office in Iran, and the governor, they got him on the governor of the Herat province, who was an Afghan, who was one of the 5 Afghan detainees for the Bergdahl trade, is also communicating with Iran. It's documented. Okay. Here. So we got Al-Sawari is there. It's like crazy. This is crazy stuff, man. U.S. District Court. I just want to get this other guy. I want to get this other guy. Yeah, I want to get this guy, this governor, and let you understand how bad these guys are. I want that you'll understand how bad these guys are. This is District Court denies former Taliban governor Hibi's petition. In a decision, this was written in 2011. A D.C. District Court denied Gitmo detainee, I can't pronounce it, Karula, for a writ of habeas corpus. Karula argued that he had disassociated himself from the Taliban by the time of his capture. The district court judge who issued the opinion concluded otherwise. Kakara, Kharikhikhwa. He's one of the 5 Afghan Taliban that was exchanged for Bergdahl, was without question a senior member of the Taliban both before and after the U.S.-led invasion of Afghanistan in October 2001. Judge Urbina found that Karula served as Taliban spokesperson, the Taliban's acting interior minister, the Taliban governor of Kabul, a member of Taliban's highest governing body, the Supreme Surula. Karula was also appointed governor of Herat province. Karula claimed that his Taliban position was purely civilian in nature and that he had no military responsibilities. The record showed, however, that Karula was deeply involved in Taliban's war planning. Karula's meetings with Iran in particular garnered the court's attention. The court found that Karula had repeatedly admitted that after the terrorist attacks September 11, 2001, he served as member of a Taliban envoy that met clandestinely with senior Iranian officials to discuss Iran's offer to provide the Taliban with weapons and other military support in anticipation of imminent hostilities with U.S. coalition forces. Karula admissions can be found and disclosed in declassified leaked documents prepared at Gitmo. The district court cited Karula multiple consistent accounts concerning the meetings with the Iranians. Iran told Karula and a Taliban delegation that Iran could provide soldier-fired missiles, SAM-7s, broker a peace deal between the Taliban and Northern Alliance so Muslims could unite against the United States, tracked all movements by the United States. In addition, Iranians also offered to open their border to Arabs entering Afghanistan. Iran's delegation at this meeting included, according to the court, Deputy Commander of Iranian Foreign Intelligence Service, the head of Afghan Department of the Iranian Foreign Intelligence Service. Iran's proposed coalition between the Northern Alliance and Taliban didn't come to Iran didn't come to fruition, but Iran began arming the Taliban as promised. Meeting with Karula attended at the October 20 meeting that Karula attended. Iran also opened its borders to Arabs, including all Al-Qaeda members, traveling to Afghanistan for jihad. In reality, leaked Gitmo files and other evidence revealed that Iranian soil was frequently used by Al-Qaeda for safe transit before September 11th attacks. October 2001 meeting between Taliban and Iran is not only one Karula attended. The court cites an earlier meeting. The court cites an earlier, as early as January 2001. During the meeting, Iran and Taliban discussed a variety of matters, including Taliban's ongoing conflict with the Northern Alliance. Karula was a natural pick to attend Taliban's meeting with Iran. Taliban slaughtered in 1998, 8 Iranian diplomats. Mullah Omar appointed Karula to head the supposed investigation, even though Karula was a military commander for Sarif. In 97-98, the classified documents produced at Gitmo note that Omar wanted Karula to smooth the relationship with the Iranians after the two nations nearly went to war. For that reason, Omar Mullah named Karula the governor of Herat province, which shares a border with Iran. Curiously, another member of Taliban's envoy to Iran in October was Abdul Nazi. So this shows unequivocally the connection with Iran. And obviously, by Obama releasing these 5 Taliban for a traitor, it enables Obama to the 5 Taliban nobody talks about. They talk about Bergdahl. So this is the whole point to this whole thing. That Obama once again is creating a distraction. Bergdahl, traitor. Why did we do this? Everything's about Bergdahl, and nobody's following what's going on with these 5 Taliban. Excuse me, these Afghan Taliban that are in Qatar, which has an affiliation with Iran. It always goes to Iran. It points to Iran. So I just wanted to emphasize what's going on with this Bergdahl trade. Qatar, Numani, Iran, Mullah Omar, who's got an office in Iran. He's no longer he according to what I read, he passed away, but the truth be told. So I'm getting ready now we're gonna close out now on that note. So the whole point is we're establishing a pattern. I don't have a smoking gun document to prove that Obama is obviously, I believe, is statistically significant. He's a legal president, fraudulent sector service card, a Muslim from Indonesia, Russian KGB agent. We're going to talk about that next week. I'm going to put this. We're going to put the whole thing together, and we got to join America's team and get a T-shirt. America's Team.today. Go to the website and join a T-shirt. RussoNation.tv. Join America's team, and we're gonna do this, and we're gonna help the United States, the men and women of the United States Armed Forces, fighting a fight for us. This is Frankie Russo, pre-show number 85. Yeah. I'll talk to you all in a few. See you in about a half hour.